everyone, and welcome to the Week 11 edition of Instant Replay, where I give you my take on the most controversial calls of the weekend. I'm Simon Borg. We start with the Rocky Mountain Cup clash between Real Salt Lake and the Colorado Rapids. In the 51st minute, RSL got a penalty kick that put the game away, but I don't think it was a PK. First, goalkeeper Clint Irwin doesn't make contact with Devin Sandoval, and this hand by Drew Moore has no force behind it at all. But referee Mark Geiger calls it, and Javier Morales converts. The hosts wanted a second penalty just 13 minutes later when Morales goes down in the box. Colorado's Marvell Wynn tries to poke the ball away, and it looks like he may have made contact with Morales' left foot. But here too, the force is not enough to disrupt the Argentines' run. Geiger does well to give him a yellow for simulation. Next to RFK Stadium, where the Impact wanted a penalty kick in the 12th minute. Sananayasi takes this wayward shot, and DC's Davy Arno has his arm raised. That's a penalty to me, but referee Soren Stoica doesn't call it, and Arno stays on the ground for a bit, probably stunned he wasn't punished. 6 minutes later, the Impact again wanted a spot kick. Now, Chris Rolfe is definitely pulling on Montreal's Felipe Martins, but I think he sells it a little too hard, and when you go down like that, you're almost asking a ref not to call it. After being snubbed by Jurgen Klinsmann and the US World Cup team, DC's Eddie Johnson got some redemption with an equalizer 6 minutes from time. But it can be argued he shouldn't even have been on the field for it. In the 60th minute, he drags his leg and makes contact with Troy Perkins' face. Whether it's endangering the safety of an opponent or violent conduct, you could have seen a red there. And if he doesn't get punished for that, the disciplinary committee might get him for some hands to the face on Vandril Lefebvre in the ensuing protests. And if that's violent conduct by Eddie Johnson, so is this 23rd minute kick by Downs defender Stephen Keel. All he's looking to do is bring down Eric Torres, but look where he sends his heel. There were shots for a red to his teammate Blas Perez for his follow-through on this kick in the 70th minute, but there was no way he could avoid that one. He had no time to get out of the way, unlike Javon Watson a couple of weeks ago on Tim Cahill. One red card that was awarded this weekend came at PPL Park. Chaco Maidana comes in studs up on rookie Steve Newman, and referee Ted Uncle sends him to the showers. We're seeing these called more often, and personally, I'm a fan. There was also a penalty in this game in stoppage time. Revolution defender Andrew Farrell misses the ball on this lunge, but he got Antoine Hoppeneau in the process, and Sebastian Letou puts it away for his third of the season. We head north to Toronto, where the Red Bulls made 3 different appeals for penalty kicks in a 10-minute span in the second half. First, in the 57th minute, Lloyd Sam has this header that hits Jonathan Osorio's arm, but it's tucked in. No way! In the 64th minute, Johnny Steele crosses the ball, and it's deflected by Bradley Orr, whose arm is extended. That should have been a penalty for me. And then in the 65th minute, it's Toronto's Stephen Caldwell with an outstretched left arm. Referee Silvio Petrescu looks away, but I think that's also a spot kick. Toronto ended up winning the match 2-0, and Jermaine Defoe scored the opener, but the English World Cup alternate was also involved in some extracurriculars with New York defender Armando. First, in the 66th minute, he lands a stray arm into Armando's head, and then he does it again in the 88th minute with another arm to the head. I didn't like either of them, but I think that the second one definitely falls under violent conduct, punishable by a red card. He only got a yellow from Petrescu. There was no middle ground on the tackle by Alvis Powell in the 34th minute. That's excessive force and a definite red card every day of the week. The Jamaican takes a heavy touch, and in the desperation to get it back, he just whacks Chad Barson. Referee Jose Carlos Rivero and his crew got a few other things right too. There's the crew penalty kick in the 52nd minute when Footy Danso throws down Giancarlo Gonzalez. That's legit. There was the good no call in the 64th on this deflected shot by Steve Zakuani. Josh Williams keeps his arm tucked in. It's ball to hand. And then on the Timbers' equalizing goal in the 85th minute, the crew wanted offside called, but we can't spot one. Not on the initial free kick, the crew number 2 Tyson Wall keeps everyone on, and not on the flick on to Gaston Fernandez, who's also in line. Good eye by assistant referee Jeremy Hansen, who initially raises his flag in error, but then brings it back down. And if you thought you had a busy day at the office today, wait till you see what David Gantar had to deal with at Toyota Park on Sunday. And it started early with 2 penalty kicks in the opening quarter of an hour, both for the Chicago Fire. First, Quincy Amarikwa's knee hits Eric Kronberg's head, and he goes down. And then, 17-year-old Kansas City rookie Eric Palmer-Brown, making his MLS debut here, gets his career started with a push in the box on Benji Hoya. That's a stone-cold PK. The Fire would win the game by virtue of those 2 spot kicks, and they could have had 2 others. There was this handball by Benny Feilhaber in the box that was not called. And then Palmer Braun makes another questionable tackle in the box, this one on Dilly Duca. He goes through Duca's legs to get the ball, but also gets a whole lot of the player. It was an all-around pretty eventful day for Palmer Braun. There was this foul on Amarikwa which earned him yellow in the 49th minute. And then just 15 minutes later, he got a second booking for this late tackle, also on Amarikwa. A debut he'd probably rather forget lasted a grand total of 64 minutes. But even down a man, Sporting made a strong comeback attempt. They wanted a potential equalizing penalty in the 74th minute, but I think Kevin Ellis here simply mistimes his header and goes flying. And then 4 minutes later, Alex Martinez gets by Jeff Lorenowitz, who looks to have stepped on his foot. I thought there was enough for a PK, but the fact that Martinez initially tried to stay on his feet may have deceived the referee. And we close with a look at a peculiar situation in Toronto. The Red Bulls substitute right back Kosuke Kimura out of the match at halftime, and in his place, they were hoping to bring in rookie Chris Duvall for his MLS debut. But Pro tells us that the player did not have his jersey and was not ready to come on at kickoff. The Red Bulls played well over 2 minutes with 10 men before the first stoppage in play. That's when Duvall is finally allowed to come into the game. Hey, if you're Duvall, better late than never. That's all we have for this week. For our editor John Benton, I'm Simon Borg. See you next time.